I worked so hard in the very beginning when I started recording voiceovers for my reels to not have your voice stuck in my head. And I just started to lean into it because I followed you about a year ago and I love the nonchalance of your voice. So I just started embodying that every time I spoke into the microphone. I just leaned into it.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, I feel like I definitely have a weird, I try to be as nonchalant as possible on socials whenever I'm doing content stuff or creator stuff, but it does feel like a weird characterization of my current self or like a just an extremism of probably what my voice actually does sound like. But yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Would other people who know you call you out and say that's totally not you? Or is that how you talk in real life?
No, I think I'm pretty I think it's how I speak in real life, but I really like go for it. I went to school for acting, so funnily enough, like I feel like I am definitely performing for the camera, especially like when I'm doing content stuff. So it's kind of like a fun little drawback to the past and everything like that. So, you know.
Do you realize how kind of uh, extremely surprising that is? Because it is the opposite. You seem like you're so unaware of the camera, and I guess that maybe speaks to the fact that you kind of know what you're doing. Because I don't follow a lot of people in general online, and what I dug the most about your content was just like there's some camera following this guy around, and he happens to be just scatting about talking about these random projects. I really wanted to find the first thing that I followed you on. I think it was the headboard. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you do like a DIY
Oh
headboard
yeah.
or something in your LA loft? What was that project?
Yeah, I did. For some reason, my claim to fame and everything that continues to go viral every single time I post it is just anything to do with beds. I don't know why. I think it is the weirdest thing. So if there's ever a bed company that's bespoke and sort of more industrial designy, I'm super down. Like that's like kind of I'm like, damn, like I should probably do a some sort of Murphy bed collaboration or something like that. But yeah, no, my the first thing that I did that went like crazy viral was an original like weird bed box in my first LA loft, and then that was cool. Obviously, like people to this day, it just continues to get an absurd amount of engagement. Everyone's very up in arms about it, which is hilarious. And then the second thing that I did was I moved into a warehouse studio that I still have, but I don't live there anymore. That's in LA, and I built a bed that was like 16 feet above the ground because it was upstairs and it was honestly like not probably the most safe thing that's ever existed. Some remnants of that are still around. And
How
then
often
yeah,
are is the commentary people concerned about the safety of the stuff that you're building?
dude, like 50-50, like all the time. It's really insane. Um, and granted, I think I think some of it is valid if they knew like a lot of people were really concerned on the first one about like breathability and mold and all this stuff, and I was in the process of building like a whole bed frame pull out situation. It's you know what people are going to say before you post the thing. Like I
Yeah.
know exactly what everyone's about to say. Uh the the one most recently was really interesting because I did so much research on just the safety protocol of it all, so that I was trying to curb those comments. But you're always going to get some form of negativity on the internet, and you honestly you just lean into it because it's kind of funny at this point.
Yeah, you're the only person here at risk. It's not like you're then asking to be paid to go into somebody's home and building bed boxes for other people.
Yeah, no
I think
shot.
about this
Not going to do
all,
it.
all the time, dude, when I'm driving by, especially now that I'm renovating our house, doing little home decor projects.
Which looks sick, by the way.
Thank you very much. Work in progress, always fucking things up constantly and then just getting back to the drawing board. inspiration like you definitely helps. But I'll drive by houses all the time and just think like, I can't believe that this is possible, that people can build houses and people live in them. And knowing myself, there are varying levels of credentials that people can have to build homes, but to what extent is it? Because it doesn't really even seem like there is. I'm gonna stop right there because is this vibing at all with you, or is that
No, I
just
get what
sound
you're.
like
I mean,
metaphysical?
well, I maybe I'm understanding what you're saying, but I think the world of content has been really interesting to watch, because I think so many creators, at least in our realm and space and community, um, so many more people are picking up power tools, which is really crazy to me. Like just people that you would never really expect to be picking up power tools are learning how to do such a really cool craft and carpentry and doing a lot of research and self-taught woodwork and all of this stuff. I think it's really, really sick because a lot of people didn't really grow up doing that. And I don't think that that was as prevalent, 3 years ago as much, just as the creator economy gets so much bigger. But yeah, no, I do think it's pretty nuts. I grew up on a farm, where I am currently, and got to learn from my dad. We've always had like a wood shop behind the house and everything like that to do various farm work and all that stuff. And he's built another one recently and just more toys to play around with. So every time I come back home, I'm constantly learning more. So it yeah, but yeah, I think it is pretty crazy that everyone is just DIYing their entire spots just perpetually. It's so nuts. But yeah, no, I mean, power to everyone. I think it's so cool.
Okay. Where do you see there seems to be like a contradiction between carpentry, like the masculine side of just pounding nails into wood, saw and shit, and the aesthetic side of making things pretty. But both of those intersect at a very obvious point because we want our homes to be really pretty. But it doesn't always obviously go hand in hand. And as far as I can tell, you're kind of nailing it where like you're actually building
No
stuff, but it
shot.
looks good too. Does that come naturally to you? And
I
do you
think I
see
just
other people
technically
nailing it?
know how to use a lot of tools. Not to like a professional degree in the slightest, but things that work well for me. I think those that do it to the intersection of the masculine side of like construction and woodworking, they legitimately have worked so hard for it. And I follow like there's two people, that I do follow. Neither of them have a following, and one of them went to school for industrial design. He's my best friend's little brother, and he absolutely crushes, a lot of these new projects. He's been like training himself over the course of probably like the last 5 years in and out of metal work studios and wood shops, and he is someone that I think does a really good job of really understanding tools and how to treat, uh, pre-treat all the wood and all the things that he's doing. He does it to like, a mathematical degree. And then another one is someone that I just, quite literally have been friends with for a while and went to school with in Tennessee. And he's just like a master woodworker, and he's, you know, just absolutely crushing it. And everything that he does is super artful. But I think as time goes on, people believe that woodworking is, so much more of a casual thing because of content. So I think a lot of people are kind of just trying to make things as aesthetic as possible, and it's pretty easy to make clean cuts on plywood. It's like nothing I'm doing is honestly insane,
Well, I,
but yeah,
I
I think
appreciate
that
that
the yeah.
you make it look accessible. Like there's this young dude who is doing it. He's got a saw, but he's in his kitchen too. It doesn't look like he's got some fancy workshop. And when I grew up, I was under the assumption that you needed a full ass garage with a decked out tool shed to actually accomplish any of these tasks. And the first apartment I went into, like it was a project to put up a shelf and going to Home Depot and having them trim it there. And then I finally had some sense of agency that, wait a second, I can do some of this stuff and I don't need a special workbench and I don't need hundreds of dollars of equipment. So it's nice to have that sense of accessibility, but there probably is a little bit of a fine line where you start biting off projects that are a little too big to chew on. And now I'm living in like a tool shed.
Yeah, no, it's really insane. I mean, you live in California. You probably have the space to do some sort of shed sort of area around your house, right? Or something like that. I mean, you have your entire kind of like studio room as well that
It's so
you'd
nice,
be
and our
able to.
place is big here too. So we
Yeah,
can have projects, and it bugs me so much if I don't complete a project, but I'm still living inside it.
right.
So we do our best if a task isn't complete by I'm still in the closet, outside, it's raining, in the garage. That's really helpful. Are there any little tips and tricks that you've learned along the way when you're biting off a big project that you don't really know how it's going to end?
Man, um, I'll be so deadly honest with you. Whenever I feel as if something is out of grasp, I have the fortune of being able to walk down the Home Depot aisles and call my dad. Like, I'll just send him a sketch. I'll be like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Here's the mood board. You know, what is the best way to do this? And then he'll throw me three separate options and sends me a few YouTube links. And he's like, this is probably the best way to do it. So I honestly, the tips and tricks are quite literally buy a bunch of equipment that you are probably going to invest in and use over time. And so that the next time you go back for a project, you don't really have to rig it in a way that you're not trying to cheat your design. You actually have the tools to make your design. So I would just say probably invest in like an incredible, arsenal of tools and all of that. That's probably going to make you the best DIY person out there, is just continuing to build that arsenal. But
I
yeah, I
got,
don't know. Call
yeah,
dad.
I got away with for quite a while just having a little DeWalt drill, some bits, and like I'd pocket loose screws at Home Depot because I don't want to pay for like 100 pack of them. And I would just do these little projects, and I got away with that for a lot of years. And then just going into the Home Depot aisles because they'll have the little hacksaw there, and I'd bring my tape measure
Yep.
just because I didn't want to have to buy anything. It's so much easier
Yep.
when you actually have the stuff home because I find myself a little bit more ambitious with the things that I need to do. And then
Mm.
turns out it's kind of nice to not be rushing things and have a actually cultivated space to be working on it.
There's this thing I really want to get that, do you know good old Kev Concepts?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I follow him.
So me and Kev, we bounce back and forth, give each other a lot of tips and tricks and a lot of shit also along the way. But he's kind of like one of the, I would say, the ideal person that has kind of an amazing kind of workshop in his garage. I think he's done a really good job with it. It seems like he kind of is doing that thing where, every month or so he's probably buying a new tool to kind of perfect his craft. And you can, these days, at least in the DIY content world, most of the things that people are doing are all straight cuts. Everything is very angular. There's not a lot of like, warm life to it. I think a lot of things that have like round edges and everything is probably where it gets way more complicated. But um getting like a circular saw straight guard is kind of the next thing, especially if you don't have space for a full wood shop or a full table saw. Back in LA, like I do have radial arm saws and my table saw, and I have everything I need over there. But in New York, I just have kind of bought clones of the small things like a circular saw. But one thing I really want to get is uh, a straight edge, like a guardrail. I can't remember
Mhm.
what the company is. Shout out. Starts with a K, but it's great. That's the next thing. Maybe you have one. Don't know, but need to get that.
Do not. I don't. I only own a hacksaw. That's the only form of cutting equipment other than some kitchen knives that I have.
That's crazy. You need more.
I'm gonna get on Amazon right after this call. What
Yeah.
is I hear other bros listening to this conversation, and it it takes away some of the accessibility of doing DIY projects when you're like, oh shit, I gotta invest in a $200 drill and a $500 saw, and I gotta have space.
Sure.
What has there ever been a consideration that, fuck it, I will just buy that piece of furniture because I don't want to have to go through the trouble? And it turns out that I would end up spending just as much money on parts and the time that I would invest in the labor of it all.
Yeah, wood's super expensive. Tools are expensive. Everything is very expensive. But I mean, yeah, I think about that all the time. I'm fortunate enough to be able to buy the things that I want to buy when every once in a while I try and treat myself to a new tool, which is awesome. But yeah, no, of course, like um, I've definitely gone down the route of okay, well the lumber's going to cost me the exact same amount of whatever this bench would be. And the only reason I choose to build the bench or the credenza or the whatever the bed is because you learn so much in the process, and I'm someone that's kind of addicted to learning random, you know, traits, be it you can cut this part out, but it's like I used to go to professional Yu-Gi-Oh card tournaments and I was obsessed with that for a while. Then I was obsessed with cameras and I was obsessed with editing, and now I'm obsessed with AI, which is controversial. Cut that out if you want to. I'm just obsessed with like learning all that stuff. So I think the only reason to not just buy the cheat code is just because you want to learn how to do it.
Yeah, I love that. It's the masculine urge just to collect things, and it started at grade school with Pokemon, and now it's craftsman shit.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. But yeah, no, I would say that also libraries in New York. I don't know whoever's listening to this, but it's like libraries in New York and it's like Ace Hardware and Home Depot. They all rent tools. Most of those places all rent stuff for pretty cheap comparatively to what you could just go out and buy something for. But that and there's a lot of bundles happening these days on a bunch of tools, so make sure you're kind of checking and getting the right deal. But yeah, no, I mean if you can't afford to go out and get a tool, I've definitely looked into renting a lot of stuff that you can just kind of take home,
Mhm.
take it back the next day. It's like a library book. So
Yeah. So it's not necessarily you think there's anything of higher quality to the projects that you're doing versus the things that you're buying.
no shot. If I was to buy something outright, it's most definitely going to be better than probably what I built for sure. 100%. It's just not going to be as custom fit to your space and it's not going to have as much life in it, I don't think. But I think that's why I try to be intentional if I do buy furniture, art, whatever it is, it does have at least some sort of a story, or it's a shop that I've bought from that I think really deserves like the business because they've done such good work for the design community. So if I do decide to do the cheat code route, yeah, it's probably because one, it's just better, or two, there's a story behind why you purchased it, you know?
Yeah.
And
I
so
think
I
the
think
the
I think that's it.
DIY stuff is the greatest way to really hone in on what your style is, because by the time that you actually have crafted something, you've done the research, there's nothing that could have been more intentional than
Mm,
researching and actually executing on the vision of a DIY project, putting in the time and labor and the cost, even if you spent a ton of money on it, versus just like pressing buy it now on Wayfair and having it
yeah.
delivered to you. I think you can come up with a much more intentional style. And I've bought so much stuff to furniture and sent it back or sold it, but I think my DIY projects have taught me the most about my aesthetic style and like the kind
Mhm.
of thing that vibes the most with me, because I actually like get to have my hands on it and spend the most amount of time with it too. Have you found that based on what's really interesting too is because your lack of skills or like your style will meet you where your skills are, because if
Mm,
you want to like get into steel Bauhaus brutalist kind of aesthetic, like that's
yeah,
kind of difficult unless you have welding skills. So like you might find
right.
yourself already naturally leaning toward more woodwork. Do you think that you would be in a different place if you were just kind of the guy who brings out his credit card every time you want a new piece of furniture and have like a totally different style because of that?
Mm, I think that I think that's almost kind of happening to me now, where I feel like I am doing a lot less DIY than I was before, and I think that's because the mid-century modern plywood DIY raw finish is very accessible in the beginning, and I feel like that was a trend that's kind of happened over the last probably 5 to 8 years. And I think what's really cool is as people become more educated in interior design, like myself, because I'm absolutely really don't know much at all. The style is becoming so much warmer, and like what's popular is just becoming a lot warmer and a little bit more vintage, and coming back to kind of something that feels a little bit more cozy. So
Warmth,
I
like literally in the actual textures, the materials, the
the
colors, even.
stain, yeah, the stain, the colors, there's so many more patterns now, like I think there's a really cool blend of the whole Scandinavian, Japanese meeting like random old Victorian wooden tables, like there's a lot more uh blending of styles, like at least in the last like few years, I feel like, which has been really cool. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I definitely don't know how to make, and so it's just
Can
being
I
purchased. And
I want to pause you right
yeah.
there because I'm really curious about like how does somebody like you arrive to that conclusion? Because I'm really skeptical of whenever I feel like I've got a sense on like or a finger on the pulse of where culture's at. I question, is this just what my algorithm is feeding me? Like
Mm,
when I got into MCM furniture, mid-century modern furniture, it's all I saw. And IG and Pinterest was so good at sending me all that. I
yep.
forgot that anything else exists to the point now where like we live in a mid-century modern home built in
Yeah.
1970s. It's gorgeous.
So it's really so cool. Seriously,
I
it's
I
so
love
cool.
everything, and we were so intentional. Like the greatest style hack is just move into a home that already has an aesthetic, and you have no choice but to kind of let that house dictate the way that you furnish it because it's so obvious when you fuck things up. Like if you get the wrong
Yep.
coffee table, you'll know immediately this isn't the vibe. But I wonder just how much of that by like what I'm exposed to, MCM, just I'm like brainwashed that now I think this is my aesthetic.
Hmm.
So when you think things are warm and retro and leaning more into that like intersection of Japandi and older style, do you really know that that's where culture's at collectively, or is it just like where Joey's algorithm's at?
I feel as if I have a pulse on so many different design firms and accounts, and random publications that you'll buy, at stores and design stores and all this stuff, that yeah, I do feel like it is shifting a little bit for sure. And I do think there's people that still are gravitating a lot to the mid-century um, design, but yeah, I definitely feel like I do know when there is a shift, as many others do. I think, yeah, and I think there is a little bit of a shift happening in kind of the cozy realm. You're just seeing so many more, yeah, so many more like dark wood patterns, 1910s sort of smokers lounge vibes, in a lot of things that are happening. So,
Is there
um,
a
yeah.
style that you had like 5 years ago that you look back on and you think differently now?
Oh my God, yeah, totally. I think it changed probably around 2 years ago. I started to get more outside of the MCM range. And uh yeah, I was definitely doing a very Scandinavian, looking at like the Vitso shelving units, and the um a lot of more of the Lewis Paulson lamps and all that stuff, which are still like incredible pieces and do deserve spots, hopefully in a future home of mine. A lot of the, obviously like the Eames and all that stuff, but now it's just I'm finding so much more fun just going more vintage in terms of really random eclectic things.
Mhm.
Yeah, me and my girlfriend, her family lives up in Vermont, so anytime we go, there's just like the strangest vintage furniture stores of like old American stuff, and yeah, I don't know, just doing a lot of that.
Can we can we come up with like some bro science as to a tactical way? See if you'll co-sign off of this of guys who don't have any kind of style, home aesthetic, reverse engineer into how we become Joey Driftwood. Let me know if I'm absolutely full of shit on this, but I think there is something to this that it could be a good idea if you have no idea what's going on in terms of home decor, what the difference between Bauhaus and Sandy, MCM, what's all that? Pick one of those things, like find out the rules to things that are really specific. Eventually, you get to a point where you're like Joey Driftwood here, where you can be a little bit more eclectic. You know the rules, so you can break them.
Mm.
Does that idea hold any water? Do you think that there's something there in your own journey with where you're at now?
Are you saying kind of like picking a style and then moving backward to where I am now, or
Yeah,
short
totally.
form the
Because
question for me?
I'm hesitant to the eclectic style. I see a lot of bros. I walk into like my friends who are 35, their homes, and they are also very eclectic, but not in a. You walk into Fraser's house, and there's a beautiful Eames chair over there, and there's a mixing of different aesthetics. It's like you kind of just vomited IKEA furniture and Pier 1 imports and a random thrift shop find and something that you got as a Christmas gift last year from mom. And it just doesn't work versus like there is eclectic that you can tell was crafted by somebody who knew the rules and kind of gave the middle finger to the rules. What's the difference between those looks?
I think it's just quite literally surrounding yourself with things. You just have to be surrounding yourself with different mediums of interior design at all times. And I think it just comes with years of being interested in it. Uh, I think that's much more than doing online research. I think it's a lot of traveling in museums and actually picking up books, like actual real um, books, and being able to like flip through and spend time with a lot of those things. Yeah, I think that I think it's just quite literally informing yourself at any given moment that you can, and trying
If
to
you're,
record and document all of that stuff as you do learn over the years, for sure.
it's pretty awesome that you have that catalog yourself of the documentation of it. And one thing that I'm really thankful for, I've seen this on some other DIY pages. I don't even consider you a DIY page. So, like, frame the way that my brain thinks about you, if this is at all valuable for you. Like, I consider you kind of my one stop shop for, like, young man who is not indoctrinated by any sort of ideology with home decor, but also like fashion and design in general. I go to you for like a cleanser, a palette cleanser when I'm just constantly scrolling and it is MCM vomit and vintage vomit, things like really focusing on one thing. You seem to always not be so captured by a particular one focus, which I really appreciate. And it's so hard to do. I find myself always trying to like feeling tempted to lean into things.
I mean, that's also just uh, that's a product of living with someone as well, right? I feel that my design, the way that I portray, my home and visuals and everything is living with my girlfriend as well. Is like a lot of that has come from her, and her world, and she's very much in kind of the old American sort of design interest, and I was not at all. So, um, I've
Is there
definitely
anything you
seen
guys
beauty.
clash on? Has there been
Oh, dude,
anything?
all the time. Yeah, all the time.
Give me an example.
Um, we've definitely started to really kind of find a really good rhythm, which has been great in terms of what we like and what works. And I think, yeah, the clash would be kind of a lot more of the more playful, modern, colorful things that I have been drawn to in the past. But there's a lot of ways around that. I think like where we've found really good synergy is uh, somehow it's just kind of dialing everything down a little bit of what I like and to more, you know, earth tones and darker woods and instead of going with like the cleanest aluminum finish on something, getting something that's a bit more weathered and like actually like treating the aluminum and sandblasting it and doing all this stuff and just kind of finding a more lived in approach.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I feel like the furniture logic right now that I have is when I step into my home, does it make me sleepy? I want to be sleepy when I'm in my home. So anything I can build or buy that makes me feel like I want to wrap myself in a warm blanket is kind of, that's kind of I feel like our North Star in terms of feeling. But yeah.
Something really cozy. Is there
Yeah.
a particular way that you guys have gone about that conversation? Has is there a consideration if you are taking on a new project? I know you did the bed box, but what
Mm.
was something more recent at the new place with the lady?
That is the most recent and the biggest topic for sure. We I we wanted to get a place that we have our snug room, which is kind of our warmer, cozy, you know, sort of relaxing room, and then we have kind of this weird bed box room that like the idea was, that I'm at a point in my life where I would love for my family and my friends to be able to come visit me and it not being, not pulling out an air mattress and stuff. And I wanted to be able to kind of give those people a home. So the thing is, people aren't coming every month, to do that. So kind of had to find a solve there. The space of that kind of limited it, so I chose to build something that was basically removable and you could be inside it and whatever. Um, and we've kind of and then putting a desk on top because it's just a spare room. It's not actually where our living quarters are. Um, and that's been like the big topic of conversation there. But that room is meant to be an art room. It's meant to be a little bit more of a game room, a sort of like more playful environment. And I think it is taking on a little bit more of the mid-century modern vibe, or it will. Um, because those things kind of lend to brighter colors, a little bit more angular design. And now, actually, what we're going to be doing is the top of that platform is going to actually be kind of sort of um, a sort of kind of Japanese tea conversation pit sort of area. We just got back from Japan. We thought it was really cool. She went and had lunch on sitting on some really lovely cushions, doing a traditional like Japanese lunch and tea ceremony.
Very
And
cute.
so we're kind of looking to take some inspiration from that. I think we're gonna do like two like lovely sort of you know feed sack cushions and a very low rise coffee table in the middle and um, yeah and do that sort of thing. But yeah, we that was definitely that's definitely the biggest topic of conversation for us.
How much of the minority do you think you are with other guys out there? Because it usually doesn't. It's not the case that a man has any preference with aesthetic, and more often than not, a lot of my guy friends, if they
Do you
cohabitate
think
with,
that? I feel like that's wild. That's I mean, yeah, that's maybe perhaps that's true. I might be in my bubble.
maybe you're in a bubble. Maybe I am just being contradictory because I myself feel a little bit in the minority. There's not a lot of other men in my cohort who like have a particular aesthetic sense,
Sure,
especially as it relates
sure.
to home decor. Me and my lady kind of are 50-50, and we have not always seen eye to eye, but we have, through 6 years of decent communication, started to find ways to
Yeah.
make compromises. And more often than not, we're really happy with the end solutions. But it's more often than not, it seems like with my bro friends, the guys are making, or the woman
No, you're
making the
right.
decision.
Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. I think I'm thinking kind of in my immediate group, but yeah, I think I mean, definitely a lot of the people I went to high school with definitely probably don't care that much. A few of the people in college for sure. Um, but I also think that yeah, the people I'm closest to probably we're all just interested in the same thing. So I think I'd say, two or three of my closest friends definitely, we kind of all revolve around this sort of like sending each other like Facebook Marketplace links and all these and go to design stores and all that stuff together. And so, yeah, I don't really know if I think about it, which maybe I should more, perhaps, but,
No, why would you? It sounds like you've got a really good situation, and so does your lady too. I
yeah.
think that our women should be damn appreciative of us who actually have opinions about this stuff. And it sounds like you have also a good relationship where it's not you just stepping on our toes and saying, no, baby, this is how it's going to be,
Yeah.
but having a healthy balance of what are your preferences? These are mine. We'll meet somewhere in the middle where I walk into a room and we're both really happy. Is there any, man, I want to speak to those guys who are like, have no fucking clue what we're talking about. And like, say that again, Facebook Marketplace, they have something other than semi trucks on there that I can be
Yeah.
purchasing. There are furniture. There's furniture, and you can get great deals. Uh,
Oh, my algorithm is insane. I've had one of my friends, John, who lives in LA, he's taken my phone out of my hand and just started going through my Facebook Marketplace algorithm because it is absolutely dialed. I will never show anybody what I'd click and search on to get it because it's
why are
perfect.
you seeing things that I'm not? Because I'm in the market for another Pollock chair right now.
Okay. I
Uh,
got
you,
four at my studio. Maybe I'll cut you a deal.
do you have any black leather ones?
I do. I got three black leather and I got one white leather, which those ones are cool.
Would you
But
part ways with your babies? I would
I
never do
I
that to you.
I think I could because I don't live there anymore, and while they do look really cool in my studio and people think that they do look cool, there's no need to have five of those. So
You
yeah,
put me onto the Noel Pollock chair, and it's the only thing I have in my office. Well, I actually got a Dupe Wassily chair in here too. I sent you that video of this like empty space in my office. Can't see
mhm.
anything as it's dark as shit in here right now. But Erica, when we moved into this place, my lady Erica and I, we were sharing an office because it was the first time we were living together. And I thought it would be so adorable for us to share the same office. We have this beautiful third bedroom that is not a bedroom at all. It's totally office vibe. So we made that our space. In the first 4 months, we had both our desks here. I have totally different working hours. I wake up psychotically early, and I've gotten like 6 hours of work before the time that she wakes up, anyways.
When do you get up? Because you're extremely health focused. So I'm like pretty curious about your regimen if there's not already a video about it, which I'm
That
quite sure that
that
there
health
is,
focus
but
should be heavily quotation marked because you might beg to differ with my sleep schedule. Uh, I like my body just wakes up around 3:34 ish, and I kind
oh
of
my.
spring out of bed. That is why I have these bags under my eyes. Not at all a healthful decision, but I happen to be at this chapter of my life where it doesn't seem like I need sleep, and
Okay.
that's really cool. Although I'm in bed by like 8:30, so I'm getting some decent sleep still.
Oh no,
I wake
you're
up pretty
you're
early.
you're absolutely getting sleep. I'm a horrible early riser and I stay up so late. So yeah, polar opposites to be honest. But
The office situation, though, she moved out of the office like a month and a half, 2 months ago. We made the decision because we have another bedroom that she has made into her office. We, much like you, wanted to make that space for friends and family who visit, but we made the actual rational decision that that happens maybe totally 1 month out of 365 days. it
Hmm.
makes so much more sense to use that space for the other 11 months for her space.
Right.
She's decking that out, and I've had a lot of fun reimagining this space as my own. I don't want to
Does
like
she,
take that.
will it ever be kind of her space again, or you guys have just kind of been like, yeah, it's, it's sectioned off, like this is going to be kind of like the workspace? Yeah. Has that been a conversation at all, or?
It hasn't been said explicitly, and I want to be like so open to it because this is both of our spaces. I'd be
Yeah.
devastated though, and I have the this particular office makes more sense for me to have
Hmm.
ownership over, and the other one works for her, and she seems to be
Yep.
really happy. But she'll have to pry it from my dead hands, essentially.
That's fair.
I think
That's
that's
super
like
fair.
really good advice. Like this is a super first world problem to be talking about, or a consideration of we have 3 bedrooms. And this is,
Everything we've spoken about is definitely first world problems, but yeah.
fellas, there's tidbits of information in here, and definitely take away the Facebook Marketplace advice because you can find some really great shit on there. However, if you are considering moving in with your lady, or if you're moving in with your lady, I cannot speak it highly enough to have the man cave. I grew up with the cliches of the sitcoms and like didn't understand why the man was always hanging out in the garage, but like it was his only space that was curated. And I don't think that archetype of the guy who doesn't think about home decor really considers that there can actually be areas in the house too, not just outside and you're breathing in exhaust fumes constantly.
Mm,
Like I've had the opportunity to do that with my office, and it's been a new lease on life. I wake up partially why because I can wake up at 3:30 in the morning because I love my office so much. I come in here and
yep.
I'm like, hello things, everything's right
Yep.
where I want it, and it's cozy. I love it so much. What do you think about that as advice of having your own space that, like, with respect, the missus does not touch?
I think it's uh misses or no misses or whoever, I think it's incredibly important, and it's something that I've not done a good job of after moving to New York, because when I was in LA, I had my studio, and it was a few blocks off from where my actual apartment was, and it wasn't always that way. I was basically living and working in the studio, and then I was thought it was extremely not just super non-health conducive, and so I got a small studio apartment a few blocks away, and being able to kind of separate that balance of like having that actual place that I go was extremely important for me as just as a human being. After moving in with a partner, uh, I think it's even it's actually so important. And New York is not super permitting in terms of the size of being able to designate whose space is what. And so in the next 6 months, what I'm hoping to do with that, um, is I saw a sign for someone was renting a garage up my block, and they're like, hey, like, spend it was too dear for what it should have been. But looking at renting a garage space to basically create that sort of man cave necessity that at least like I get excited about sometimes. But no, I'm gonna do another studio in New York 100%,
Mhm.
and I am gonna create it, and hopefully it's relatively close to my space. But I do think that, yeah, from a point of just individuality of me as a human, yeah, 100%.
You have the reference point of what it's like to have the LA studio. That was your man cave. So, what is
Mm.
it? Have you noticed there being a deficit with just even your psychology now that you're living with the lady and not having that man cave? Has anything been obviously different in your life?
Well, I mean, yeah, she's always lived in New York, and I was in LA. And so I do think that being able to go somewhere where I could kind of isolate myself and still be able to not worry about, vacuuming up the sawdust every single wood cut, or um uh yeah, just being able to not, I think isolating myself is pretty important for my psyche in some ways, which is really odd, and something that I also have to be careful on the spectrum of going too far. But uh, yeah, no, I definitely think yeah, I definitely think that I do need it, and I would love to have it back. But also, I would also love for her to come and use that space as well, you know. But I just think it's good. It's always good to be able to separate spaces like that, 100%, definitely. And so I'm very envious of LA house dumb and kind of having that space to kind of exist. But yeah, no, super important.
Yeah, we got really lucky with this spot. I noticed something really interesting with my psychology when she moved out of the office that I felt a greater ownership over our house. Just
Mm,
knowing that I could make one of these rooms 100% mine. And that is definitely not an accurate psychology to have about domestic life. But I noticed myself just being more attentive to the rest of the house. And I will
that's
not,
interesting.
I don't really know what, I'm kind of having that thought for the first time, but I I have like some I undid a cable right before we were starting recording, and I have the wrapping right next to me on this table, and it's like driving me fucking insane, and I want to throw it out. I will not allow any messes in here. By the end of the night, like all of my equipment is stowed away. So when I wake up in the morning, this is my monastery, and I come in here, and it's a religious experience. And I found myself like translating that to the rest of the house too.
Hmm.
We've only been here for about 7, 8 months now, and 6 months probably. It's not like I was some schlub before,
Sure,
like a 90s sitcom dad who just like would toss a
sure.
beer can and let the missus pick it up. But I, there's something weird there. Do you want to therapize me on that, or should we move on?
No, I think that, I mean, I think that's a really interesting concept is, you know, if you have your own space, you kind of look at that shared space a little bit, even, I mean, I would say even more so as a sanctuary that you're probably hyper fixating on that because there's multiple, you know, multiple people that exist in it. Um,
I wonder if there is some this, like reverse psychology here that if there are
mm,
women picking up on this who are thinking like, why are these two handsome, amazing men the way they are? There is something to having ownership over a space entirely. And if you find yourself cohabitating with your partner and they themselves aren't taking ownership over any of the space, but you're like, why aren't you taking out the trash? I want you to take out the trash. Why is it so
sure.
hard for you? Like maybe it's because he himself doesn't feel like he has permission to like own a task or a room. And it seems like maybe a nice little gateway into having a little bit more of a compromised relationship with
Mm,
with everything in the house if there is somebody who like you take this is your little garden to cultivate on your own
yep.
and go have fun.
Hmm.
There might be something to that.
No, there's definitely something to that. There's definitely, I mean, yeah, and like I said, so I mean, what's funny is, I think I've taken the first few months to get really settled in New York and really try to make a home and really, you know, love my area and everything like that. And funnily enough, uh, my girlfriend's moved. She has a desk at ours, but she's gone out and she's signed a lease. She's crushing it in professional life, but she's signed a lease on an office, and so she's out, you know, working at her own thing. So I'm the one that's working at home, and doing that. And even so, I'm still like, okay, it's really cool that she gets to go and then, you know, come home and put work away. I'm not really able to do that, and so it's pushing me pretty aggressively. So in the new year to be able to kind of find whatever sort of work station situation wood shop that I'm gonna try and create and build. So I definitely and then hopefully, you know, be able to come home and really treat that place as a sanctuary and a resting place. I think that that's definitely what you're touching on a lot.
How much of it was a conscious decision to make? Well, I'm making an assumption about like how you are making your livelihood nowadays. Are
Sure,
how much of content
it's
creation
very different.
is that not a component or any of what you're doing nowadays with
No, no. I work in a very different field, which I never speak about for a variety of reasons. But and I will. But it's yeah, I work in music full time, um, and you know, uh, content is definitely a lovely privilege to be able to kind of do it. And the fact that people care about it is like pretty insane, but I do it a lot for documentation purposes of I made a video like last year around this time actually of just how I think it, a lot of people are not comfortable sharing as much about themselves on the internet, which I totally get. And I think everyone should take note and be cautious of the way that they do it. But I think what's really cool is I only do it just for my memories and my stories and remembering how I did these things, and how I'll show my future generations of like all the things that I got to do. I think it's really cool. I've only ever done it for fun. I obviously uh, have done and do paid collaborations if it does make sense. But that's just a benefit of all of it. And
Mhm.
I think that if you are chasing kind of a career as a creator, that's just a completely different career path. But yeah, it's been awesome. But I'm just doing it for the love of the game, man. I think it's really cool. I think all the people, meeting you and meeting all the people that I chat with through Joey Driftwood, um, it's just so cool. There's so many awesome people that I never would have met if I hadn't done it. And and yeah, hopefully it's helped a lot of people too. But
It's
no, I don't look at it as a profession.
you clearly put a lot of effort into it though, and there's got to be some prioritization on at least getting as many eyeballs on your stuff as possible. And what's the
Yeah,
philosophy with? I know you've experimented with even the trial reels and trying different kinds of things. Your work clearly has a curation to it that says, I give more than uh, just this is the typical
totally.
millennial using Instagram for a portfolio of their life.
I'm a very competitive person, and I'm very competitive with myself, and so I've basically just gamified the entire thing for myself. And for the artists that I work with in a professional sense, doing socials and being a creator, which a lot of the artists that I work with have no idea. A lot of them do, and have worked with in the past have no idea. Um, but especially in music, I think that there's uh, a lot of people that will try and preach the craft of content creation to music artists that do not understand it themselves. And so that's always been kind of a really fun sort of kind of research for me in doing it for on the side for fun. I'm able to, I think, like do my job better in the music world and kind of help inform how how I believe socials to work for them, and hopefully it actually has some merit. So it does cross over in that way a little bit. Um, but yeah, I want things to perform well because I want to know why they're performing well, and I want to be able to just understand it more. Because I mean, as time goes on and it becomes so much more of a digital age, it's going to be so important. And I'm 30, um, and I think that doing this and also in tandem working in music kind of keeps a good pulse on tech, on culture, um, and how to build brands. I'm very much in like kind of the startup world, and I'm very much in the entertainment world, and these things are going to be, and they already are the most important thing. So it's kind of just a continuation of what I do professionally in a way. Many of my coworkers and past coworkers would disagree with that, but I think it's super important and has taught me a lot for sure.
Hmm. How much of the lessons that you learn posting content and understanding what gets a reaction from people maps onto your profession now musically, your day-to-day life, talking with other people out into the real world face to face?
Yeah, a lot, all of it. I think it's all important. Uh, it all comes up in conversation. But because of that, again, I think that's just like being in the world of kind of entertainment and like visual media. it's always in conversation. The only times that it's not are uh, when I kind of go traveling and get to decompress and go golf and do all of these other things that I did that I don't really publicize. But I don't know. Did that answer your question? Maybe try it. Maybe ask me again, and maybe I'll have a different
No,
answer.
I purposely asked it to be the most ambiguous question ever, just to see where you would
Mm.
take that. What comes to mind is people's complaint that social media isn't real life. And when you're spending so much time on social media, I beg to differ. I think that essentially
Hmm.
just becomes your life. And at a certain point, it seems like life starts reflecting what we're seeing on social media. That's been my
Hmm.
experience, at least with like the conversations that I'm having with people and the studying that I do, because I am making this my business. I am paying for the roof over my head with content creation. And I'm
Yeah,
deeply
which
invested
is crazy. Howard,
in
that's amazing, by the way. That's super cool.
work in progress. But I see it as an opportunity to build the empire with the community that I'm building and what extends outside of social media as it relates now. Being somebody like heavily invested in research around tech too, things are evolving so quickly, and who knows
Mm.
what it'll be in the future. But I think it's a really great opportunity where we're at now to invest a lot of time in one
Yeah,
cultivating the attention like you're doing, but
yeah.
also just like actually getting in there and feeling around what the community's talking about. How do people think a lot? And
Hmm.
there's no better opportunity than now to do that, I think.
Yeah, I think making it and doing it yourself, as we all do, it's just social research. And yeah, I think there's a lot of really cool creators and like yourself that are really trying to really develop networks for themselves of be it podcasting or many are creating apps and new startups themselves through this that they probably never would have done if they hadn't started making content as well. People are creating new meetups and actual real life tangible communities through it all. Um, and I think as like AI progresses and all that stuff, a lot of like the way that people build those communities online through their channels and everything, the world will move back much more towards kind of that in-person meetup realm that I think a lot of people are kind of craving at this
Mhm.
point in time. And podcasting, I think that's like one of the things that like people are craving obviously so much. Is just like trying to understand like and watch people interact with people. Um, Instead of just kind of like what influencers were probably, 7, 8 years ago of just kind of the more sales tactic. This is just me and uh, it's one dimensional. It's only one person. And now I think that like the way that it's interacting, all these new personas and creators are really, you know, interacting with each other. And that's what's been really cool to watch. I think over the course of the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's hard with the social media formats that cater to shorter formats.
Mhm.
Instagram Reels being 3 minutes long, 60 seconds long, 20-second
Yep.
long video of making a bed box. It's really
Hmm.
challenging to capture anybody's like essence in that period of time. And it's also really easy for anybody intelligent, such as I'll put both of us in those boxes where we can be really particular with the voice, the mask that we want to wear, and how we
Hmm.
want to show up. And thankfully, I didn't get into this until I was 31 years old. And I had a period of time where I think I had developed enough of a voice and confidence in myself that the person I'm turning on the camera, that's who you're getting. But I do think it's important to just be able to experiment with yourself with on a long enough timeline to let the vulnerability come out. And I do fear with the shorter formats. And the last person to be pessimistic about social media or say anything cynical about it, because I'm in the boat where this is life. This is real life.
Hmm.
60-second bursts or not. I think accounts like yours, I'm really attracted to because there is a sense of authenticity in not in like the way that that's used in the buzzword sense, but clearly this is a man not so much on a mission to do anything other than build himself.
Hmm.
And we're here for the ride. That kind of thing is really cool to watch in the way that I was really interested in starting a podcast. It just seemed really intuitive to me because I make 60-second reels and I've developed a following so far of like highly curated moments. 15 years of filmmaking experience too. So those are heavily lensed from somebody who is like experienced with making things look good, but they're fake as fuck.
I mean, I'm really excited to watch your long form journey develop. I think I scratch that itch for myself when I uh, in my more professional job where I get to delve into music videos and how artists interact with their fans and Twitch streams and all these things. And I get to create a lot of that stuff for other people. And so that scratches my itch there. And I hope maybe in 10 years, it'll be something that's more bespoke and I find a way how to do long form better. But yeah, people like you who are already creating like the most cinematic content possible. I'm really excited to watch you kind of move more into that. It's going to be so sick.
Well, like, so similar to you, my day job up to this point for the last 12 years has
Hmm.
been a freelance filmmaker working on other people's long form
Right.
projects, made 7, 8 feature films and hundreds of music videos,
Wow.
hundreds of commercials. And I woke up one day. What didn't happen literally one day, but it like compounded over many, many years where did just get fed up. I was the cinematographer. I've been a cinematographer this period of time. I'm kind of top of the totem pole as a cinematographer, but my creative input reaches a limit where it's just simply inefficient for me to voice my opinions on things
Hmm.
like story, on things like set dressing. And I'm kind of enjoying this chapter of my life, having like my hands around the neck of the full creative process, but
Right.
also just like showing up and being like, yo, yeah, I stumbled on that word. You're listening to an hour-long podcast. Of course, I fuck up. And I was nervous starting this conversation with Joey. Like that's real. It's unedited. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to just people, I think, seeing value in that of the fuck ups. And not that I have anything wise to say, but hopefully the any of the takeaway here is realizing like, oh, these guys, they do cool shit, but they're also human. And
Yep.
therefore, I'm human. I can do cool shit too. That is that excites me to be able to offer somebody's a mirror to themselves and be like, hey, you're kind of cool too. You can do cool stuff.
Your content lends itself to that. It's you have so many incredible talking points in a lot of the stuff that you do. So you're absolutely accomplishing that.
I
I've
have yet to
shown,
make anything as viral as the fucking bed box, though. I want that secret
brother,
sauce.
you don't want that fame. You don't want that fame.
I'm
Um,
really fascinated, and I say it jokingly because like I hope that I want you to secretly like make this your full time career, so we can just be like
mm.
texting about like, bro, congrats on that. Like I'm kind of disheartened to hear that you're just doing this as a recreational pastime
I
because
wish
like
I
I
could
want
give
you to
you
be
another
so invested
answer.
in this because I am. I'm watching you like hit that million views on that video, and I'm like, Joey King, go get it. That's another extra $10,000 you can add to that next brand partnership.
Luckily, and believe it or not, I fortunately am better at a few other things that will have to take precedent over the way that I make my income at this current time.
So boring.
But
Challenge yourself.
I know,
Just
it's
to roll the dice of posting on Instagram every single day.
I
No,
like
it's
rolling the
truly
dice with
masochistic.
startups, man. Rolling the dice with startups.
I think
It's
both of us have that entrepreneurial masochism blood in us, so I think it's why we relate pretty well.
100%, 100%,
Picking up your time, man, I have just enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more.
100%. Yeah, no, you as well.
I
And I'm gonna be doing a little dinner in LA at some point when I come back. So you should definitely join that. I plan on doing some more meetups for creators in LA and New York.
That would
So
be really cool.
that's the goal.
I'd be
But
absolutely honored to do that.
yeah, man, thanks so much. It's been like such a such a lovely conversation. It went. I mean, I could keep talking for another 45 minutes if I didn't have to go to dinner, but I do. So we'll have to do it again for sure.
That's what the DMs are for. Send me nudes, send me fun ideas, send me your spicy takes on different home decor
Send
things.
you all my artists' music to stream, all that stuff.
Um,
So.
Most specifically, I will be messaging you about the Noel Pollock chair because if you will legitimately give that up,
Yes.
Not
No,
only
I will work it out.
it's my favorite chair, but the fact that your ass had been on it too.
There you go. A lot of
Like
other way more famous people have been on that chair than me. So,
that's a cool thing
so
about all these vintage Pollock chairs.
I know.
They
You never
have been
know.
in some smoke-filled business meetings of some important shit being done.
Oh yeah. No, 100%. 100%. All right, brother. Well, it was great talking to you. And I look forward
Likewise, fella.
to seeing what the perception is of this conversation. But
Love you, brother.
yeah,
Talk very soon.
bye.
Bye.
Talk soon. Bye.